Hi everyone, and welcome back to the Tom Morgan Drum Studio. And today we're back in the Rudimental book, A Sequential Approach to Rudimental Snare Drum, available from C. Allen Publications and hopefully available at your local drum shop. If they don't have it, ask them to order it. But we're on page 40 now, and we're going to deal with two rudiments today, the drag and the 15-stroke roll. And then we'll have a solo 8, that will use those two rudiments. Okay, so the drag, back in my day, back in the days when I was first learning, the drag was called the rough. And so you may find it referred to that way in older literature for a rudimental snare drum, but now everybody refers to it as a drag, and it's more consistent because when it's combined with other things like the single drag, double drag, drag paradiddle, you're, using the same terminology. The drag is really a pretty simple rudiment. The position is the same as the flam, and instead of playing one grace note with the lower stick, we're going to play two. Okay, now just like with the flam, we want it to sound like one sound. We don't want, but we want. So they have to be close enough together that they sound like one thing, but they don't want to be so close together that they are played at the same time. Well, the same thing is true with the drag. If I just play a series of drags, they still sound like a broader note. In fact, the grace notes, of course, don't get any time value. So if you have two grace notes next to a quarter note, for example, or an eighth note, or a 16th note, it doesn't change the time value of the note. It's those grace notes are just added in. Now, in the exercises on page 40, I have 3 different ones to practice. Just doing it all with the right hand up. And then doing it in the reverse with the left. And then the way it's normally done in rudimental style, alternating. Okay, now it's an important side note here. If you're playing in orchestral style, like if you were playing in an orchestra or a concert band, stylistically you would play the grace notes as a buzz rather than as individual grace notes. And orchestral snare drummers would tend, if they had a string of drags to play, they would just play them all with one position, one-handed like this. Because they would say there's no need to alternate. You're going to sound more consistent if you do them all exactly the same. The rudimental drummer would say yes, but it looks a lot cooler if you alternate. And since rudimental drumming involves a certain amount of show or appearance is important, then we practice it alternating. At the bottom, there's a simple drag exercise on page 40, essentially just playing them in different beats on the measure. Not necessary for me to play that now, but that's just a good exercise. So that's the drag. You want to make sure that you get a clean double bounce, but again, we don't want it to sound like too far apart. We still want to perceive it as one sound. Okay, and then on 41, we have the 15-stroke roll. And as you might guess, it has 15 strokes in it. So the first exercise is just playing a measure of 16th notes without diddles, and then we add the diddles, but we notice the roll ends with a accent at the end. Like all the rudimental rolls, you want to practice with a slight accent at the end. Notice at the very top of the page, there's two ways to write this roll, just like all the others. You can write it with slashes, so you know exactly what kind of notes you're diddling, or you can use you'll see it with the shorthand version, which is faster to write, but doesn't tell you exactly what notes you're diddling. Okay, so the first exercise sounds like this. Okay, so the other exercises are just combining the 15-stroke roll with other rudiments, just different kinds of technique exercises. I'll just play, starting on number 2, I'll just play down the page so you can hear what they sound like. Here's number 2. All that is just shortening up the first exercise, so you only do 1 15 without diddles and then 1 with. Number 3 adds some paradiddles to what we were doing here. So it sounds like this. Okay, number 4 adds a flamacue in there, one of the left-handed flamacues. So here's number 4. Okay, and then the last one just combines a whole lot of the rolls we've already covered into one little exercise. So here's how that sounds. Sorry, a little stick hit there, but you get the idea. Okay, so that really will give you some good exercises to practice with the 15. So if we turn the page now over to page 42, Wonder of Wonders, we have a solo that uses both the drag and the 15-stroke roll, and it's solo 8. So if you look quickly at this, you see that is a first and second ending, and then from there on, you just read it straight down. Starts out mezzo forte. Notice on the second line from the bottom, we have some 15-stroke rolls with crescendos. And the way those are traditionally played would be to drop down at the beginning of the crescendo and then bring it back up. So that measure, second measure, third measure of the second to the last line. That would be the way you would normally play those. And you'll see that a lot in traditional rudimental literature. Okay, so here's solo 8 using the drag and the 15-stroke roll. All right, so that's a good introduction to both of those rudiments. So enjoy practicing those. Again, if you can't play as fast as I can on solo 8, no worries. Slow it down. Learn it slowly first, and then gradually speed it up. Try to get it up to the speed that I just played it so you can play it with me. but don't try to learn it at that tempo. Learn it at a slower tempo. All right, if you like this video, click like, please, and it means a lot to me. Also, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe and click the little bell so you'll get a notice when I get new videos out, which I do usually every week. And so we will see you on the next video. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.